What's up guys, Kevin with On Point Pro Styles in Gainesville, Georgia. Today's video, I want to go over these type of quarter windows. I have a video about installing tint on the deeper quarter windows with the plastic around them. It's usually the separate quarter windows, normally found in the C-pillar. These are very, very common. You're going to come across these all the time if you haven't already. Maybe you're struggling a little bit with them because it can be tough to tuck in certain areas. So I have a certain method that I like to do these, and I'm going to share that with you. First thing I like to do is kind of check to see how tight the seals are, just to know what I'm going to be up against. And then really it's just all about prep and then proper technique of installing them. So let me get some film ready. Let's do it. So here we are. Got our piece of film. I'm just going to spray the door glass right there next to the quarter window so it can hold it for me. So not a whole bunch of secrets to these other than you got to think like dirt, right? So this is a 2008 model car, but it doesn't matter if it's 2016, 2018, 2021. There's dirt that's hiding up in these seals. Cigarette smokers, for example, I've seen where cigarette ashes from the mashing out the front windows, they fly right into here and you'll see ashes all into here. So you can imagine if the ashes are getting here, all the dust in the car is getting in there. So I have the door panel covered with plastic, which I would highly recommend, and I flush and use a harder, this is a green Pro Tools Now card. Got a very hard, sharp edge on it. I wouldn't use it on tint because it will scratch the tint, but I flush and flush and flush and scrape and scrape and scrape, and then I flush some more, flush down below the bottom. Now the front gasket is hit or miss. You can either sometimes get behind it, sometimes it's really, really hard and you just can't, or it takes too much excessive effort to the point you end up messing the film up trying to tuck it. So this one's not too bad. The bottom's really easy, wide open, probably from the edge of the car. And I'm doing the same thing here, flushing that out, flushing the top. And I've already razor bladed this glass, so I do recommend that. Kevin, that's a lot of water. It is, but that's a lot of contaminations that's up in there. So we've got that cleaned out. Two main tools you're gonna use. It's gonna be a small squeegee and a tri-edge, or that kind of squeegee, the turbo style. I prefer this. If you don't have this, that one's the really common one. So we're gonna squeegee this out. Get up in there, tri-edge one time, come around, do that, and then just kind of drag all this to the bottom. I'm not worried about being the world's best squeegeer here because I literally flush the glass. And when I'm flushing, I'm spraying this metal, I'm spraying this metal, and I'm spraying this entire pillar here on the front and everything because the film will touch this. So you want to make sure that that's good and clean. This is good and clean in the event the film touches it. So I'm flushing the entire top, down the side, the entire pillar, as you can see over under the door, essentially flushing all the trash to the bottom. So let me get my tint. I'll go ahead and say I'm a big advocate, don't touch the film adhesive, but I'm a realist. There are cases you need to, i.e. this one. But very, very tiny, tiny little spot and somewhere it's gonna tuck. So here's how I start out. Concentrating here. So I wanna try to dip the film in, get this portion of it. I'm gonna pull this bottom just a little bit so it doesn't crease on me. And what I'm trying to do is create a bubble here so that I can get this bottom corner touching the glass. So I'm using this, there's a bubble here, and it's overlapping here so that I got my bottom corner here against the glass, because next we're gonna open up that bottom gasket and we're gonna start sweeping the film down and in to the bottom, all the way across. Till it's tucked and the film's completely flat. So we're good. All right, so the film's flat all the way around and it's tucked in the bottom. So because it's tucked in the bottom, that's gonna leave a gap on the top. So I don't know if you can see this or not, but I'm gonna use this. There's about a 1/4 inch gap on the top. So Now it's a matter of, I push on the glass using a little bit of pressure with my hand to help kind of pull the glass forward off the gaskets or loosen the glass off the gaskets, and I'm gonna slide it up and into the corner. Usually this top corner is gonna be your biggest problem yeah, on the back quarters, even if it's the type of car that has the front pocket windows or quarter windows. It's usually the tops, because that's where this is the tighter rubber, and then this is usually the looser rubber, and that tighter rubber tends to wanna bow that film in. So that could be a little bit tricky. So watch out for that. But biggest key is try to close all your gaps. I've got a gap on the bottom, not anymore. We're looking good. You can always come in with a tool and check for your gaps. I'm looking along the front edge as well. All right, there we go. We've closed the gap. Beautiful. All right, so everything's covered all the way around. So now we want to squeegee it. And is there a special way to squeegee it? Not really, but kinda. Biggest thing is you went through all that work to line it up. So you want to make sure that you put a thumb on it. I like to grab around the door, and I put my thumb pretty heavy here in the top corner and hold it. I can also slide my thumb left and right to help keep the film in place. Don't dig up into the top and side just yet, because you don't want to push the moisture out up into the seal, and because you didn't get a good swipe on it, it opens back up and all that trash that's behind that seal comes swooping down underneath it. So you're really just kind of getting the moisture out from the front edge to the bottom and from the sides out, or the middle out. Again, continuing to make sure the film's not sliding around and creating a light gap. Like, this is really slippery. By the way, this is Tinting's Carbon Shield 20%. Excellent film if you haven't tried it. Get you some, it's a fantastic carbon film. All right, let me look for gaps, because I know it moved around, and it did. So while it's still slippery a little bit, I'm gonna get it up into place. Close off any gaps while it's still movable. Looking pretty good. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now, a little bit heavier of a squeegee. I'm going a little bit slower, obviously, because I want to do this as best as I can, and I want you guys to be able to see the process. So, again, concentrating on this front edge, making sure the film's not moving or creating a gap. Now we're gonna do our corners, or our sides. So this is where you wanna make this count. I'm gonna use this side of the squeegee because I can get more pressure on it, and I'm gonna start here, hard pressure across, hard pressure down, and of course across the bottom. And if you can get behind the seal and do the front too, highly recommended, but make that swipe count. If you swipe across it and you see a little finger pop, that's gonna create a vacuum, and any trash that might be up in here can draw down into that film. So you wanna do this once and make it count. So that's why I use this side of the squeegee, tri-edge. Come across, and I see it's all laid flat. Now I'm gonna do the back. There is a tiny light gap here. I blame that on the cut. Down and across. Actually, I could have slid it back just a little bit here, but for all intents and purposes and for video production purposes, there we are. There it is, looks good. So let me give you a view of this side. Okay, so you can see no light gap here, no light gap here. We're tucked along the bottom. We're far enough back into the edge, far enough up top. and we used our quarter corner card, our tri-edge, the harder, well, the more rigid side, let's say, because it's shorter, to go around the sides and press them once so nothing lifted back up and we got contamination. So looks like a fairly clean install for me. One more look on the front. Okay, so I know with light glare and the rest of it, it can be hard to judge, but I will tell you as a professional, this looks fantastic, more than passable, and would easily deliver that to a customer. So that's it. Nothing special, not the longest video in the world. I don't believe I've done a video like this in the past, so this is something I wanted to put out there. I've gotten messages and stuff from people that have trouble with these types of quarter windows. So I wanted to put a video out and produce something that at least helps some people out. And the biggest trick is just making sure you can keep all your edges flat and use this front pillar to your advantage. Let the front of the film lay on that pillar. Just clean it off really well so then you don't have to worry about contamination. You can clean that just as well as you can clean the glass. So let that film lay over it, start to slide it into the back at an angle, and then bring your bottom in to the bottom to then start shifting it to the top. So the back quarter windows, the front quarter windows, I have a video out of doing deep quarter windows with the paneling around them, which is usually found on the C-pillars of cars. So check that one out. Those are pretty much easier, but anyways, that's this one. Guys, Kevin Rogers with On Point Pro Styles in Gainesville. Reach out to me if you have any questions. A tint depot for all the tools and tint you'll ever need. It's what I use exclusively in my shop. Plotter Depot for plotters and plotter software. Reach out to Tint Depot if you have any questions. Reach out to me, happy to help. Thanks for watching.